Me again. Sorry, this is probably going to end up being 4 videos. I do apologise. I haven't used this application before, so I'm still getting my head around it. So apologies that it's going to be so many different little snippets. But let's get cracking again. So you've done a mind map about the skills that a health professional needs, and now I want you to do. I think this is the last mind map. Is I want you to create a mind map with the knowledge that a health and social care professional needs. So this is to do with maybe qualifications in general, so GCSEs, A levels, BTECs, NVQs, university degrees, all that kind of thing. But you can also think outside the box with this one as well. So things like, oh, I had an idea in my head and it's just gone. It might be things like maybe training that you do on the job. So, for example, administering medication is knowledge that you'll gain from doing certain jobs. If you've even maybe worked in admin before, you've got and maybe a knowledge of certain databases or how certain systems run, all that kind of thing. So it's things that you think a health and social care professional needs, like knowledge that they need. So things they need to know. So you're going to pause the video and have a go at that. Righty, I'm hoping you've managed to do that. So, having a look at all 4 of your mind maps now together, are there any skills or knowledge that are on both your personal and professional mind maps? There might be a few, there might not be anything, that's fair enough. But I'm hoping you'll have found that there are quite a few skills and knowledge that are on both mind maps, or you might have put them on the professional one and then gone, oh, well, actually, yeah, I can do that. I just didn't think about it. I didn't put it on my personal one. So I'm hoping you're finding that maybe throughout your lifetime you have got the skills and knowledge. Maybe not all the knowledge, but you'll have some knowledge, certainly from this course, and some of the skills that you'll need to work in health and social care. And you'll be well on your way to being a very good health and social care practitioner or professional. So I'm hoping you already have some, like I say, but I also maybe highlight on the professional one that you've done the skills that you still need to work on and the knowledge that you might still need. So maybe it's that you, for the job you want to do, you're going to need a level 3 BTEC and a degree, for example. So if you haven't got those, maybe highlight those as they're kind of like goals to work towards, I suppose. And then maybe the same with skills. So maybe maybe you're not very good at time management, for example, or maybe you're not very organised in general life. Maybe that's some skills that you might need to work on. I think it's kind of good to highlight these things kind of early on, so you know that what you've got to work on, basically, to work in the health and social care sector. So that's that. So we're now going to look at progression routes within health and social care. So once someone is qualified to do a job, they may decide that they would like to progress further within that service and take on a different role with more responsibility or challenges. So can you think of any examples? Just give you a couple of seconds or I'll be cruel and give you a couple of seconds to think of any examples of progression within health and social care. I'll give you a few seconds to think now. So I don't think I put any examples on here. Oh, well, I've got some examples coming up, so we'll go through those examples. So, example number 1. We've got Josh here, and he is a nursery worker, and he wants to be a nursery manager. Well, he looks at what the nursery manager does every day, the one that he works with, and decides that in the future, when he has more experience, that will be the job role he'd like to do. It is important that Josh finds out if he needs any further qualifications in order to work towards his goal of becoming a nursery manager. So although Josh already works in a nursery, it may be that he has got maybe GCSEs and a level 1 qualification, and that's allowed him to be a nursery worker. However, there might be qualifications that Josh needs to be able to be a nursery manager. This is just off the top of my head. It might not be correct, but it might be something like he might even need a degree in management to be able to be a nursery manager. Or it could just be that he needs to have a good amount of experience within that sector. So maybe he needs to work in the nursery for, let's say, approximately 5 years to give him that experience of how the nursery runs and everything that goes into it. And maybe then that's how he could progress to be a nursery manager and maybe do qualifications on the job. So when looking at progression routes, it's really important not just to assume, oh, well, I'll get there, it's fine. You've got to be able to know how to get there and what you need to do. So giving you that example, I now want you to do a progression route yourself. I want you to do some research. So this is Iram, and she works in the children's centre and enjoys her job. However, Iram has always been interested in becoming a midwife. So let's just assume that she has got 5 GCSEs at A star to C. So she's got her GCSEs, but she hasn't got anything else. Let's just take that as an assumption. I want you to then tell me what she needs to do to progress to be a midwife. So you'll might have to do some research here. So does she need to do A-levels? Does she need to get a degree? Maybe do she need to develop some skills that she might not have to be a midwife? Do a bit of research and see what you can find. Don't worry if you struggle. It's just a little task for you to do to maybe just get you to think really of all the different things you might need to progress into certain job roles. So if you'd like to pause the video here and give that a go. So I'm hoping you found a progression route. Again, off the top of my head, I haven't actually looked at this myself, but if we are assuming that Iram just has 5 GCSEs, A star to C, I imagine they would need to be in maths and English. So if she hasn't got those, she would need to do them as an adult, so retake her maths and English to get those qualifications. She would also then more than likely have to do either a level 3 BTEC, extended diploma to be specific, in health and social care or something similar, or she might do what we call an access a foundation degree, an access course, it's kind of a bit like an in-between. It's a bit like a BTEC, but it's also like an in-between to get you into university. So she might do that as well with her age. She would then need to go and do an undergraduate degree in midwifery, and then she'd be able to qualify and be a midwife from there. There's some of the skills she may need. She'll certainly need time management to be able to get assignments done on time if we're talking about the education side of things. Need to be organised. But I think for a midwife in that sector, you need to be proactive and kind of get things done that need doing. You can't just wait about, which means you need to be able to work independently, but also part of a team as well. Obviously, there might be, as a midwife, someone might be rushed in, going into labour immediately. You need to be able to be like a fast thinker and, work quickly and not panic, that kind of thing. There's many skills and a lot of knowledge that you need to work as a midwife. So I'm hoping that you picked up on some of those. So we're now going to look at the difference between statutory and independent services. I was going to make you write down what you thought they were, but unfortunately I've already put it on the screen. So I'll just tell you. So statutory services are services that should be available to everyone by law. So what examples can you think of? Well, I'll tell you because I'll make life easier for you. So have I put them on the screen? Oh, I have. That's the task I was going to get you to do. Never mind. I'll just talk you through it. So basically, statutory services are ones that are free. That's kind of what statutory services mean. So it means that everyone can access them, whether you've got money or not. So National Health Service dentists and pharmacies, maternity care and health visitor checks, the ambulance service, A&E departments, and your local GP surgery. So all of those, you don't have to pay for those services. You can just go. I mean, obviously, if you go to a pharmacy, you may have to pay for a prescription, but it of course depends on your financial circumstances and things like that. So you might not have to. So all of those services are free for you to attend and get help from, or some kind of service from. So there's some examples for you. So on the other hand, so you've got statutory services that are free for everybody. You've then got independent services that are not provided by law, and so can be provided by companies or organisation who charge for the service. So some examples of those are non-NHS dentists, so private dentists, private hospitals, physiotherapists. Sometimes if you refer to a physiotherapist, you might get a certain amount of sessions included with the NHS for free, but then you may have to pay for extra ones on top of that. Retirement or nursing homes have to be paid for. Private day nurseries, so if you've not gone to a nursery that's included within the government scheme, you may have to pay for it. And childminders, of course. If you're going on a night out or you're not going to be in for the day, you would pay someone to look after your child that way, so a childminder. So they are all services that you would have to pay for. So they are not provided by law for everyone, which equally means they're not accessible for everyone. That's what an independent service is. Then we've also got voluntary services and informal care. So a voluntary service is provided by people who do not get paid and do not expect payment from the people who need help. This is also known as informal care. They kind of are very similar, so it was easier to band them together. So I want you to this. You don't have to pause the video for. Well, you can do, but this I don't have to write anything down. I just want you to have a think. So this is the next 4 slides are examples of either an independent service, a statutory service, or a voluntary service or informal care, and I want you to just decide what it is. So, scenario 1. The neighbours go shopping for an older age person. So you've got lovely little 83-year-old Ethel living next door, and she can't get out to the shops, so you, as lovely neighbours, go and do the shopping for her. Is this a statutory service? You just need to think yes or no. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to have a think. So try and remember what a statutory service is and decide if this example is a statutory service. Have you had a think? Think you know the answer? Well, I'll tell you now. So no, this is not a statutory service. This is an example of informal care because these people are just being nice neighbours and are not expected to be paid for this. Obviously, they're expected to pay for a shopping, but they're not expected to be paid for going out, maybe for petrol or what have you. They've just done that out of the kindness of being nice neighbours that they want to go and do the shopping for lovely Ethel. So that's informal care. Next example. So, what do you think? You have an appointment with your local doctor. Is this a statutory service? So again, try and think back to your definitions if you wrote them down. Statutory, independent and voluntary / informal. So is an appointment with your local doctor a statutory service? Have you had a think? Let's see if you got it right. So, yes, this is a service that is available to everyone. So like I said, everyone has the opportunity and right to have a local doctor, a GP. So this is a statutory service. Simple as that. I hope you got that one right. Another example. So, an older person's son contacts Alzheimer's UK online to get free advice on finding a care home. Is this an independent service? Hint, this is a bit of a trick question, so I'll see what you think of. So, remember that Alzheimer's UK Online is a charity. That might give you a clue. So he's contacted Alzheimer's UK Online to get free advice on finding a care home. Is this an independent service? So yes, like I say, a bit of a trick one, that one. Let's see what you thought. But the answer is no. It is not an independent service because Alzheimer's UK Online is usually or mostly run by volunteers. Well, I say that. The online portion is often run by volunteers. So as it is run by volunteers, it is therefore classed as a voluntary service. So you wouldn't, because you're getting the advice for free as well, you're not paying for it. So it's not an independent service because an independent service is something you'd have to pay for. So this is classed as a voluntary service. I hope that makes sense. But it was a bit of a trick, that one. And I believe this is the last one. So, a mother is going to a job interview, so has to hire a childminder to look after her daughter. Is this an independent service? I've probably just given you a clue from what I was just saying about the last answer, but if she is hiring a childminder to look after her daughter, does that mean it is an independent service or not?